So, Charlottesville. How did you? Because I think I saw you were born in Champaign.
Yeah, born in Champaign. Yep. And then made it to Charlottesville. My folks worked for the University of Virginia in the medical center there, and so grew up my whole life there. And then on to Chapel Hill from there.
What is it about the Big Ten right now that makes it such an attractive draw, not just to you, but for a lot of people changing roles in athletics?
Yeah, it's. I think anytime you go through dynamic change, being part of a great, strong league is important, and you've got to have a great dynamic leader. And Tony Petitti is that as our commissioner, and just the strength of the brands in this league. Between all of the different brands across the country that represent the Big Ten, we're in such a great position to navigate that change.
Can you outline what your first role is when you get back here in 2 weeks? Like your first priority?
My first priority is to listen, to ask a bunch of questions. So I'll meet with all of our head coaches, I'll meet with all of our staff, and then I'll hit the road. I don't sit still well, and so I'll be on the road to meet with donors and supporters, our trustees, and I'll learn a lot, and that's I think it's the most important thing, particularly when you start one of these new opportunities. This is an incredible place. It's an incredible place with great tradition and history, and my job one is to learn all of that.
You come from some warm weather climes.
Yes.
Did you have to tell your family that spring hasn't arrived yet since June 4th?
You know what? It was 85 when we hit the tarmac yesterday, so we're doing great.
It's not the norm.
Thanks for bringing that.
Yeah, glad to bring it, yeah.
I'm wondering, when you took the call from Kevin,
Yep.
First of all, what did you know about Michigan State at that point, and what were maybe some of the first things you, as job candidate,
Sure.
that you wanted to find out?
There's a whole list of things you want to know, right? Some will talk about, some won't. But I think at the end of the day, the brand, the place, the history, learn about the town, right? East Lansing is just a great college town that we've learned a lot about in the last kind of couple of weeks here. But a lot of it came down to leadership, and I've gotten to know President Guskowitz over years. As the president of his former institution, he certainly knows what high-level intercollegiate athletics looks like at a championship level, and I have full faith and trust in him. And so when he made that call through the search firm, it was one of those, absolutely, and so certainly can tell you that there's lots more to learn, but it's a heck of a starting place.
You have a lot of experience, but you didn't become a full-time AD until about 3 years ago. Did it help that you came in and about when all these changes were starting to take place, and you weren't somebody that, had been rooted in the old way?
I'll just say that taking this new changes in stride and finding the opportunity in those changes is probably the most important part of my job right now. And all of our colleagues across the country, right? These are, we're on the precipice of transformative change in college athletics and change we need, right? I think as we move forward, hopefully into the post-House settlement era, we're going to look for a structure that's got new transparency, new levels of consistency across the board, and that's good for college athletics. And so diving into that is really important.
Jay, of your 20 predecessors, you're one of the few that doesn't have a Spartan pedigree or a Spartan tie. Can that be a good thing?
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing,
Okay.
but I'll tell you, I've certainly worked at a lot of different institutions where I might not have had a tie before, and we've been able to be pretty successful. So it'll work out.
How long has it been just Jay?
So it started third grade,
Okay.
right? 3 Jasons. I wasn't the brightest, so I went with the shortest, and it's been that way ever since. Ever since.
You
Yep.
signed your name Jay.
Yep. There was a period in there where it was JAY for a little while, but we mostly just the J.
What does innovation look like in maybe a broader sense? You talked about it out there. But.
Sure. Innovation particularly applied in college athletics. So we're going to look at new and different ways to approach this industry, right? So whether it's revenue, new opportunities for revenue, you look at the way we arrange staff, right? As we look at new and different requirements to be successful in intercollegiate athletics, you're going to have to find new and different ways to serve our coaches and our student athletes so that they can do their jobs really well.
You're 40 sport-specific GMs.
I'll just say that I found a lot of value in the player management position, right? That is, you look at whether it's dealing with kind of the agents side of things or being strategic as you arrange rev share, other parts of this kind of new era, there are certainly those that have recruited in the past that have done a really good job with that.
You're 43 or 44.
Gosh, I am.
That's always the toughest question.
I'm 43.
Okay. So
Yes, I'll be 44.
how does your age maybe help you in that you're not necessarily that far removed from where these student athletes
Yeah.
are, and you've also kind of lived your life through the changing landscape
Sure.
from when you were an athlete to now where the state of college athletics is?
Right. You know, I don't know that my age helps, hurts, or other, but I think, you know, always looking at it as an opportunity is the most important thing. And, you know, I'll tell you that relationships with student athletes are truly awesome. I've said a lot of times, and it's real, you'll probably catch me doing this. If you ever have a bad day in college athletics, you haven't gotten out of your office. And so you'll probably catch me, if I've had a long day or I've been staring at a Zoom screen, I'll go find a practice. And it's my favorite way to reconnect with the mission, which is opportunities and impact, right? And I'll go sit in the corner of a field hockey practice and won't tell anybody I'm there, and I'll just get to watch practice, and it's awesome. So, yeah, if you catch me just being the guy in the corner watching a basketball practice or whatever it might be, that's what I'm doing.
You said
When
Michigan.
We're at the podium, the football being top of the pyramid. I'm wondering what sort of things you'll look at a program to say this is healthy, maybe this needs some help. That, you know, what sort of criteria things do you look at? Obviously, being around some successful ones, to know that things are going in the right direction or not.
You know, you've just got to look at all of it, right? You know, whether it's from really, you know, looking at, and really my job is to support our coaches. And so what does that look like from a resource perspective? What does that look like from a structure perspective, staffing, whatever it might be? I'm going to get in and dig in with our coaches and figure it out and see how exactly I can be helpful.
You're part of a new regime with a new president and yourself. Do you feel pressure to usher in a new era of Michigan State athletics, considering what may have happened over the last couple of years?
You know, what I would say I feel pressure is to carry on the great tradition of this place. And I said it earlier, this is a top 10 athletic department. We've got great coaches, we've got great staff, and we're part of an incredible university. So the pressure is really only to uphold that standard of excellence.
Why do you think you're a good fundraiser? What do you do?
So I'll answer that simply that I think the most important thing in fundraising, and I've said this several times, is developing genuine relationships. At the end of the day, people give to people. And so building genuine relationships is the most important thing. And I think I invest in those. I have done so over many, many years in many places. And I think you'll see that I'll do a lot of that.
Have you noticed in your world right now? We've heard about it on the outside, donor fatigue. How do you combat that when you are trying to make those connections?
Sure, I think it's something that's real across college athletics. I think it's part of, as we move into the next era, there's going to be opportunities to while the dollars and cents will certainly continue to increase, there's going to be opportunities structurally to help with some of that.
Jay, what's the most important thing that Nick Saban told you about Michigan State? He
just expressed just how much he appreciated his time here, how much he enjoyed the fans, how much he loved living in East Lansing. He has spoken so positively about his time here that I'll admit it colored my opinion in a positive way.
All right. Talk about green ties. You got a good one there.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I went hunting for it. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. I look forward to getting to work with everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
I don't
Yeah.
expect you to remember names.